who is the father of Abraham, Yitzhak, and Yaakov, the one who's granted us to be our husband, to be our father, to be our king. All praise be given to him. This language that we're studying is a beautiful language. I want you to all continue to be encouraged and don't get discouraged. Okay, don't get discouraged by it. It's not hard. It just takes time. That's all it is. Okay. So what we have today is lesson number 6. All right. And let me expand it a little bit here. Of course, you're going to have your vocabulary words, and we're still dealing in the past tense. So things are going to be completed today. We're going to be dealing with group number 3, passive verbs. We know group number 1 is dealing with the simple action. We understand group number 2 is a forceful action, and group number 3 is one of my faves because it's a little confusing. It's causative, okay? And so we're going to be dealing with that, all right? So it says in this lesson, we're going to look back at the passive form of group number 3 verbs, okay? We're going to look back, we're going to look, when I say look back, we're going to look at the passive form of group number 3 verbs. As you know, group number 3 verbs, as we know, are used when we want to describe someone causing someone else to do the action, okay? We learned in lesson number 1 and lesson number 3 that the identifying sign of this group, number 3 verb, is the letter, okay? Hey, that's the sign. The sign is this letter, meaning if you see that letter in front of a root or, part of a root, then you would know that it has to do with the group number 3, which is causative, okay? So we're going to cause someone else to do the action. So our example that we have here, and I'll make it a little bit bigger so we can really see it. All right, here you go. Let's look at the examples that we have, okay? All it is just attaching this letter, this, okay? Right? They're attaching that, and they're attaching it to this root right here, okay? And it says, he caused someone else to wear clothes, okay? I'm not going to get into how to, what it sounds, it's hith bish, but I'm not going to get into that. That's a little confusing. Let's just deal with what it looks like and what does it mean. What it sounds like, what the letter hey sounds like, so that's not an issue, okay? So what we want to do again is we always want to identify what this means, okay? So again, the hey has several meanings, okay? So somebody tell me what's another meaning of the letter hey from a grammatical standpoint when we're dealing with grammar. What does it represent?
The.
Yes, the, okay? Also, too, it could just be the first letter of a root, it could. Some Hebrew words start off with the letter hey. So you'd have to know your roots in order to understand, oh, is this a root or is this the letter, is this a, what they would call a direct object marker? Is this a definite object marker like the or the, is it working like that? All right. So that's what we want to understand is that you got to attach this letter. Okay. Forget about the little dots and all that. I don't want to get into that. Just understand that it means caused. Okay. The reason why they're saying he caused and it doesn't say she caused. Somebody tell me why. Why is it he caused?
Doesn't mean, is it because there's no tav at the end or something?
Well, exactly. You're almost there. It means that, for example, if you don't see an on the end, if you don't see like hilavisha, if you don't see the on the end, then it's masculine. Okay. If you know your vocabulary words, you'll know just a vocabulary word like a call. You would know just by this by itself in this form, and form means the way that it looks in 3-letter component here, 3-letter root, that this is automatically a masculine way of saying it, okay? Because it's 3 letters, Okay. It does have nothing attached to the beginning. It has nothing attached in the middle, and it has nothing attached at the end. Okay. So again, it's the only form, okay, that is a past tense form. It's past tense because it doesn't have anything attached to it. Usually you would know something's past tense because it would have a letter on the end, like you mentioned, it might have a tav, or it might have a t, a call t. It might have a call ta. It might have a call tim. It might have a call ten. It might have, those things on there. Okay. It might have a call u. Okay. Akolu. It might have the u on the end. Okay. It might have a nu on the end. Okay. It might say new, a call new. Okay. So usually when you have something added to the end, it tells you it's past tense. Okay. If it had akala, then you would know, oh, that's feminine, but it's still perfect. It's in the past tense. It's perfect. And it's because it's in its past. There's no action that needs to be done. It's already done. Okay. And that's why it's in the past. So this is the only form, the only one that you're ever going to see in a 3-letter form like this, a call. And that has to be a 3MS, third person masculine singular. Okay. So when you look over here, you say, well, Dawid, I don't see the 3 letters. I see 4. From your lessons in 1 and 3, it was something else about this root that you need to be looking for when you add a hey. What is that inside of these examples? What is the other letter that's added to us to let us know that it is what you would call a hifil?
Yo.
It's the yo. Bingo. Okay. So they don't tell us right now the actual name of what this letter means, but I've been over it with you. It's called the hifil. The first part of that H is that hey right here. Okay. And the il right here is the yod. So let me break it down a little bit simpler for us. Okay. So for example, we'll go here. Here's the H, right? And here's the yod. Okay. So if we do it here, H is just an I, and then it's a PH, and then the IL, right? So when you add the hey, okay, to the word, when you add a hey, you're literally going to add this I as well. These are the 2 things that you're going to be added to this word, hifel. Okay. That's what you're going to be adding. All right. So let's just take this example that I have here, and let's just try to figure it out, because it's a system. And I think sometimes if you don't understand the system, then you won't understand how things work. And that's the truth. Okay. So let's look at hifel. All right. So there's the H right here. And here's the I right here, the yod. That represents the I sound, right? With this little dot in that yod, that represents the I. So in your mind, okay, what you have to understand is, okay, let's see. 1, 2, 3. All right, here you go, you guys. Without looking at this letter right here, let's get rid of this. Without looking at that one, okay, the hi, let's just say that the hi right here, the hi, this hi, because it's called what? Hi, feel. Okay, that's how you say it. You say hi, feel, right? Everybody follow me. Hi, like hit, hi. So basically the HI of hifil is just the sound of hi. Okay, that's what it is. They're saying that HI is just this sound right here. Okay, the PHIL is the last part of it. Il, right? So the PHL are 3 letters. And then they put the I sound between the first two and the last one. And let me just help you understand, okay? I wish it wasn't written backwards because it would be easier for me. Let's do it this way. Feel. I want you to see this. I'm gonna write it in Hebrew, the opposite direction, so you can get a better understanding, okay? The hit would be this H that you add, okay? Say we got this lamed, this bet, and this shin. We're gonna place that underneath these letters. So what letter would go under the P? Out of these three letters, which one would come next after the H?
Lamed.
The lamed. Okay, so let's put a lamed here. Okay. What would be the next letter?
The bet.
Thank you. And then what's the next letter?
Yeah.
The yod and shin.
It would be the yod that represents this I right here, and then the shin. Get it? So anytime I say feel, just based off the sounds alone, what they're telling us is all they're doing is they're replacing these letters. They're replacing these letters. I'm going to replace this sound with this letter right here. Okay. I'm going to replace these consonants right here with the next two of that in particular, root, because the root is really a lamed, a bet, and a shin, which is called lavash, means to dress. Okay. That's what it is, to wear clothes, right? To wear. That's what it means to wear. Okay. So, because clothes, of course, is a noun, but to wear it is a verb. And the last part of that would be substituted this L right here would be the SH. The shin. Yes, the shin. Okay. So when they're telling us these words, like what does it mean, or what's the name of the actual verb, like feel, then you would automatically know, I'm going to take the feel understanding and I'm going to put it into this right here. Okay, so I'm going to give you a test to see if you're following me. Let's look at this one. What letter is this? So let's call it H. Okay, right? Now we know the next one would be a PH, feel. But instead of us putting that PH there, we're going to put the aleph and the what?
Off.
Okay, so we're going to put the aleph and ta. Okay. Praise y'all. Let me show you there. We're going to put the aleph. I'm going to put it here just for your sake. Well, what's the aleph represent? Underneath there, they got an eh. Okay, so let's just put an eh sound. Okay, and then we got a cough right there. So that's a K, Okay, that's a K. Okay, and then they have the dot and the yod, which is an I sound. Okay, is a 2E sound, because that's what the I is. It's 2 E's. Okay, and then we got the lamed, which is an L. Okay, right? So kel, kill. See that? Kill. 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 See? And it has the same, it's using the the feel format. Feel, the reason why they wrote it feel, because they're just telling you the format. The format for a feel, the form is a hey and a yod, which is represented by those two letters, this H right here and this one right here. You understand? The more you'll see it, okay, let me do this. I'll show it to you even better. The reason why it's kind of hard to understand sometimes too is because you've never seen it, and this is something that you don't understand it. You've never seen it before. So that's why it's a little difficult. But I'm going to try to make it easy as possible. Oh, I didn't have it. Okay. No, I got another one though. I have another thing that I can show you. Here it is. Here's my little thing right here. Okay. So you see this box that you guys usually get in your answer sheet, right? And today we're dealing with passive forms, and we've already covered what this is. That's a passive form. That's a passive form. That's group number one. That's group number two. Today we're going over this one, right? So what we're going over is these things here. Okay. Well, let's just work with the names of these things. This noon right here represents what? Tell me English letter.
N.
N. The little dot underneath it is what? What vowel?
A.
I. Okay. That pay right there doesn't have a dot in it. So what letters does it represent?
A.
It's a PH.
PH, thank you. And then underneath there, there's a vowel, sound. Okay, so we'll put that right here because that's our vowel. I think it would be better if I give you different colors for vowels. So let me put the vowels here. Okay, and last but least, what's the last letter?
L.
All right, so let's do the L. So the name of this in particular root is called what?
They fall.
A nafal. Perfect. It's a nafal. Excellent. Come over here. This has a dot inside of the P. So I mean the P. So what is that? What letter?
P.
P. Okay. And it has a ah sound. So what's the vowel?
A.
A. And then it has another A, a little shorter ah. So use a little another A. And then the final letter is a lamed, which is an L in English. And what's that called? A pa'al. Okay. And so a pa'al is a very simple action. Okay. You go underneath this one right here, and it has a P, but it has something different. It has three dots, which represents a vowel of what? A U. Okay. The next vowel is a ah, which is an A, and then the final letter is a lamed, meaning. So what do you call that?
Pual.
A pual. Okay. Come back over here to group number two in a forceful action. You're doing the action yourself. It has a P and has what? What's the vowel? Has a little dot.
A.
I. Okay. And then under the ion, there's two dots. So what's that? It's like an A sound, but it could be like from gray. So it's literally like an E. Okay.
E.
But it's not pronounced as E. It's really pronounced as eh. Okay. So then the final letter is a lamed. And what would you say that is called? A PL. Perfect. Okay. So we got a pa'al, we got a PL, we got a nifal, we got a pual. Okay. Now, group number three, which is the forms that we learned in active in lessons 1 and 3, tells us about an action that you're going to cause on someone else. Okay. But you're the one doing it on someone else. So the first letter is what?
H.
An H, perfect. And then the little dot underneath that is a vowel sound, which is a what?
I.
It's an I. The next letter?
P.
P what?
PH.
PH, because it doesn't have it. There's no dot in here. If it has a dot, it's a hard P sound, but it's not. It's a like phone. Okay. Then they have another vowel underneath it. What is it? Is two E's. Was represented by I. It's a longer E sound, okay, or longer I sound, but they use two E's, okay, and then it has a lamed at the end, okay. So what is this called?
I feel.
That's a he feel. That's a he feel, okay. Now, which we're learning today, right here. What letter is this first one?
H.
H. What's the vowel underneath it?
Is it a U?
Yep, there's 3 dots. That's a U. And then we have a pay that doesn't have a dot in it. What letters do we use?
PH.
PH. And then we have an ion that has a slash underneath it for what vowel?
A.
An A. And then we have a lamed. Okay. So what is this called?
Fall.
Football.
A hufal. Perfect. Okay. So we got a pa'al, we got a PL, we got a nifal, we got a pual, we got a hifil, and we have a hufal. Okay. And those are the 6 so far verbal actions. Okay. That could be done in an active way, 3 of them in active and 3 of them in passive. The final number 7 is going to be this one we're going to learn in lesson number 7. So we're not going to talk about that today. All right. But I also wanted you to understand something. Now that we're looking, praise be to the living Elohim. Praise be unto him. Okay. I want everybody to say that. Say it. Praise. Praise be to Yahweh.
No.
Because God's about to show you something. All right, let me show you. So I'm gonna erase all this and don't worry, we'll go over it again. All right. Because this is what they're not going to teach us. But I got the game. I already know what it is. Okay. I figured it out. That's why I said you say praise be to Yahweh. You hear me? So let's deal with this simple action right here. How many letters do you see right there?
3.
Okay. So from our understanding so far, how many letters do you need for a child root?
3.
3. Okay. If it was parent, it'd be 2. So if the 3 letters to represent a child root, all I'm going to do now is just put 3 letters up here. If I want to make it simple, tell me what vowels I'm supposed to use.
A.
I'm going to use the same vowel that's under pu'al. I mean, pa'al. This is how I'm going to do it. There you go.
Mhm.
So if you know this, the root, you know that means to eat. Once I teach you these things, then you'll know that means simple. Okay, let's do the next one. You guys pick one. Do you want it out of passive? Do you want on group 1, group 2, group 3? Which one do you want?
Group 1 passive.
Okay, group 1 passive. Wonderful. So we're going to use a root called, say, shamar. Okay, a shin, a mem, and a resh. And it's what? How many letters is that?
3.
There's 3. Okay, but all right. So let's scratch out the 3. And what do we got left?
Yeah.
We got a noon. So let's put our noon up there. And what does the noon have under it?
A dot.
A dot represents that I sound. And then what else we got? We got the schwa right here that tells us that we're not going to vocalize this because this is a short vowel. That's a short I sound. That's why it's 1 dot. If it was a long I sound, it'd be a dot and a yod, but it's not. It's a short vowel. Okay. And because it's short, I don't vocalize this shin. I don't go no she, no shoot, no sh. I put them together. So if I put both of those sounds together, you and I will say it in a second, but let's stay on our deal. So we got the 2 dots, which are called a schwa, and then what do we got finally left? That's short I sound. Okay. So here it is. If I'm going to say this, somebody tell me, how do you say this part first?
Is it nis?
Is in as a noon, and then it has an I sound for your vowel, and then it has a SH. You were close. So that's how you say that, nish. Okay.
Nishmar.
What did you say?
Nishmar.
Nishmar. Yes, you have the M, then you got the ah, and then you got the R. Nishmar. Nishmar. Okay. That's how you know it. But what do I want you to remember? I told you I don't want you to figure out how to make the sound. I want you to understand how it works. So what's different? Well, what's different is the noon, the dot, and then this move right here, and then this. That right there is going to tell you that what? What kind of form is it? Is it active or is it passive?
Passive.
It's passive. When I got this, what is this?
Active.
Okay, so does it matter what 3 letters I put over it?
No.
No, it doesn't. If I took that simple action right here that we discussed and I had a call right there and I want to make it a simple action, I just put that underneath it. If I want to take a shamar and I'll put the shin and a mem and a resh right here and I want to make it simple, I put the simple mark underneath it. If I wanted to change it from simple and I wanted to make it into passive, then I know I got to add a passive letter, the noon with the dot underneath it, and then put the 2 dots here and put that right there. So what I have here is exactly the same that I got here. Exactly. The only difference is they're using these letters, the PL and all that, to tell you the name of it. Because even the name Paul or the root, okay. Oh, that's another thing Yah wants me to show you. Praise Yah. Did you guys get that before I go to my next point? Does that make
Yes.
sense? Okay.
Mhm.
So we're not done. We're going to still stay here. This is why probably Most High wanted this. So you guys tell me, these 3 letters, are they in any of these other names? Is there, it's in here?
Yes.
Yes.
Is it in here?
Yes.
Is it in here?
Yes.
Is it in here?
Yes.
Yes. Is it in here?
Yes.
It is, isn't it? And guess what? It's going to be in here too. So they all have the pay. Okay. Sometimes it might have the dot, it might just a pronunciation. But does that change the meaning of the pay? No, it doesn't. Then they have the ayin, and then they have the lamed. Guess what this is called, you guys? This is your stem. This is your verbal stem. So everything is going to be about this and how do you change it to make the stem different. So when I'm talking about a stem, okay, and this is something that I learned, okay, when you talk about the stem, I'm talking about this of the tree, okay. So I can add any root, the root's at the bottom, and then comes the stem. This is the stem, okay? Anything that grows out of that stem grows out from the base. Your stem is your base. This right here is your base, and that is called, let me clean it up for you, the pa'al. This is your basic stem. Your basic stem is right here. That's going to be the stem to everything. And why is it the stem? What's the stem? The stem is called the pa'al, which is this, the pay. Let me clean it up a little bit. You know what? Let me do something a little bit different here. And we'll come back to this in just a second. Because I don't want it to be confusing. I want to show you like what I'm really talking about. Okay, so let me show you here. I'm going to share something, a new screen. Here it is. Let's go here. I'm not bound by this. I'm bound to help you understand. That's what I'm bound to. Okay, so you can understand, and everybody else to be watching can get it. Okay, so let's call this the ground. Okay, and down underneath the ground, let's make it our what do you put in the ground? What do you guys plant in the ground?
Seeds.
Okay, so when you got the seed is not green. The seed is generally like a red, it's brown. Okay, say it's brown. Brownish gray. Okay, so you plant the seed. Okay, out of the seed, stuff starts to what? Grow.
Grow.
But out of the seed, before anything starts growing, the seed will then begin to have, once it germinates, it'll be able to have a root to come out of it. Okay. Okay. So it starts off, but it has a root. It's a root system. Okay. So there's roots underneath the ground. Right. All right. Once it starts germinating, it then begins to start growing and coming out. Okay. Is that true or not?
It
Yes.
is.
Yes, it is,
Yes.
isn't it? Okay. Your parents are going to be your roots, which are the two letters. Okay. And it's going to be a male and it's going to be a female. Let's just say that because we have a family. The one that comes out of the ground, the two shall make one. The one right here, okay, is added to the two, and 2 plus 1 is what?
Correct.
3.
3. So this stem that's coming out here is 3, is part of the 2 that was here. Okay. You guys get this so far? Okay.
Yes.
Now that the stem is growing, and so this is called the stem. It's the first part of it. So we know that the stem comes from the 2 parents plus the stem equals 3. And that's where you get your child root. Your parent is underneath the ground. You can't see the parent. You got to go find out who the parent is to understand the child. That's when I tell you that the Hebrew has roots. And that's why you hear stuff called the Hebrew roots movement, right? Because they're talking about, let's get down to the roots. If you get down to the roots of something, you'll understand what that which is above the ground means. Okay. So the challenge for us sometimes is understanding what's underneath, because you can't what? You can't see it. You know, even like Kyrie said, he said, I'm looking at the root of what words mean. He just doesn't take a word at face value. He actually got to know, well, what does it mean? The only way you can fully understand what a word means is you have to go search out its parents so you can know who the child is. The child is the stem. They don't tell you that, but I'm telling it to you today. The stem is the child root. That's because the 2 of those made this one. They're still, is the child separated from the parent?
No.
It's not. There's no breach right here. It's connected. Okay. So once you got the parent, so say the parent down here is an aleph, and the next one is a cough. Okay. Let's just say that. Once this stem comes up, it'll be an aleph, a cough, and a lamed. That is your child. You get what I'm saying to you? So now that the child is developed, right? Say this is the child. The child's going to grow. Okay. It starts growing and growing and growing. And all of a sudden, other things start growing off that child. Okay. 1, 2, 3. Okay. Okay. Are you guys starting to see this? Right?
Yes.
Yeah.
Because this is where they come in with this concept. All right. So the child is going to be the pa'al. Okay. That's the stem. The pa'al is the stem, is the basis on which any other action or root will come off of. It's not going to change. The stem is not going to change. The stem is always going to be the same, but off of it are branches. So let's name a couple of the branches. Okay, so that's a very basic, stem is very basic. Okay, it's the basic meaning. Okay, but now I can take that very stem and I can say, well, you know, there's things that are growing off of it. So what's growing off of this one? All right, so if I got the right, but remember they're all of the same what? Same root, right? Right? Remember I told you, I said, what do they all have in common? Did they all have something in common? What do all these branches have in common? According to what, it all has that stem. The stem is still part of it. You understand? It's still, look, it's still there. It's still there. Okay. Well, if I want to take this basic root here and I want it to function differently because each one of these branches are different. So instead of me just doing a basic this branch over here became a
P.
PL. Okay. Then this one here is a little different. So I'll add a hey to it. And then I'll put, a he, what? Feel. It's still a Paul. It's still a call. It's just functioning different. Okay. I want it to be passive. Say I want this one to be passive simple. I just want a simple action, but I want me to do the action on someone else. Well, all I'm going to do is add a noon, put that little dot underneath there, put the 2 dots right here and put that there. It's a nifal. This one right here is just, a hit fail. This right here is a PL. Okay. This right here is a pual. That's all it is. You see? So the root doesn't change. The stem doesn't change. It doesn't change. All they're doing is changing the action on how something is done, but it's based on agriculture. That's what it's based on. And you have to go underneath the ground to find out who the roots are. And the way that you do that is by looking at a Hebrew lexicon to tell you who the parents are of that child. You understand? It's down here in the ground and it comes up and then the thing is the same. It's all the same. Then it spreads out. Okay. Then they got all kind of stuff that can happen, right? So there's 56 different ways that something could be said or done. So before you know it, you got a what? What do you got here?
You got a tree.
You got a tree. You understand? So on your tree, the more you get to know about the Hebrew language, okay, the more fruits you're going to have. And guess what? When does it happen? Dr. Yared, when is this going to happen?
In the spring.
In its spring, in its season. How many years does Yah tell you don't touch this tree until when? Till what? How many years you got to wait?
4.
He says 3, and in the 4th year, you give that to me. And then in the 5th year, you can eat it. So now do you understand why I've been in this language for a long time? That you're going to continue. And then as you continue to grow and you're pruning and you go through your seasons, you're then going to start getting more fruit. And then more fruit, and then more fruit, and then more fruit. Because you'll understand. So basically what we have here is a tree, but we also understand that grammar is literally, I don't want to spell that the wrong way. Forgive me. Grammar is literally structure of the tree. And so we have structure going back to what we learned today. Structure is given by the Father. And the Father in Hebrew is called an Av. And an Av is an Aleph Bet. So even with our language, there's structure. You understand? And that structure that we have is grammar. A lot of people say, well, one guy I debate with a lot, he goes like, he says stuff and I say, man, you're not talking to somebody who don't understand what's going on, okay? I understand what's going on. Why? Because I understand the language. I understand the grammar. And that's what you guys are learning. Okay? Is the language and you're learning the grammar. Okay? So now, after that little illustration that I showed you, I don't want you to be intimidated by none of this stuff because it's nothing. It's just letters. And what they didn't have the courage to do is to teach you about where does it come from. They're just giving you information. Your eyes are just looking at, okay, this is a symbol. This is this and that. Now that you understand a little bit more about the structure of it, you can better understand why they're using these forms and where they come from. What do they all have in common? They all have the same thing in common. Okay. So then the next question would be, before we go on, I want in the class on this because I don't want to give you too much, is what does the basic form Pa'al mean? Well, let's look it up. Okay. So what letters would I be looking for? Take a guess, because remember,
A and iron, right?
I'll look for, no, I will look for a pay. The iron is an I is silent, right? So
Yeah.
what I'm going to do is I'm going to look at the letters, I'm going to look at the pay, and I'm going to look at the lamed. Okay. And the reason why I'm going to do that is simply because there are 4 letters. There's 4 letters that tell you that there's something that they're vowels that make child roots. And what are those letters? If you can remember, there's 4 of them.
Is it the hay?
The hay is one of them.
Yod,
The yod is one of them. I'll write it in its proper form. Aleph, the hay, the wa, and the yod. Okay. Those are the 4. All right. And what I want to tell you about the aleph, you can take a guess. What vowel does that represent?
A.
A,
Okay. So let's get it out the deal. A is this. Okay. And aleph. Letter hey. What vowel?
H. Oh, what vowel?
Vowel.
E,
E.
E.
Perfect. E. Okay. Now I got the wa. What letter represents, or what vowels represent the wa? Because it represents 2 vowels.
I, O,
U.
Is the O and
U.
the U. Perfect. Because you can have a dot on the top, which represents the O, or you can have a dot on the side that represents the U. You see that? Okay. And finally, our last letter is the yod. And what letters does that represent? What vowels does that represent?
I.
I. Thank you. Okay. And I can be short or it can be long. Okay. But you just know that it represents that. So if I put these in English, I got an A, I got an E, and I got a I, and I got an O and a U. All right. A, E, I, O, U. I'm telling my age now. That's a song back in the 1970s, I believe. So, or early 80s. So they tell you your vowels, which is A, E, I, O, U. And then they tell you in English sometimes Y, but not in Hebrew. Okay. So I don't want you to get confused and think that there is a letter A in the Hebrew language. Your first lesson that I taught you was there is no letter A in the Hebrew language, which is true. But the aleph is used as a vowel. Okay. So often when you see words that begin with a aleph, you would say, oh, that's an A. No, it's not. Because if you notice, they got a vowel sound underneath, and you got to make that sound. You don't make, or this sound. You don't make this sound. This is silent. That's silent. Okay. But it's still, I think they call it a furtive, another grammatical name that they use for it. But the aleph operates, I think here they would tell us, is a consonant or vowel. Yes, because they did say that. Is that even though these 4 letters, they operate both as a consonant or a vowel. Okay. So they would operate as a letter, and they would also operate as a vowel. So you, Akoti Pam, when you said that this is H, you're absolutely correct. From a consonant standpoint, from a vowel standpoint, it'd be an E. And so you would ask yourself, well, how would I know the difference? Because that's the question I asked, right? You would only know that through your vocabulary and your study. They don't have a list that tells you, well, here are all the H's and all that. But in the word Torah, I used to think this H right here was literally like a hey, just for a hey for the letter, the consonant. But it's not. It's literally a vowel. Okay, that's what it is. All right. So those are the 4 letters. All right. So let's go look up right quick to end the lesson. I want us to go to what they would call a Hebrew lexicon. I'm gonna see if I got it. I'll look at my book. Okay, here, can you see my screen or no?
No, not anymore.
Okay, let me pull it up here. All right. So I look at a Hebrew lexicon. I know you can see it now. Okay, I'm gonna put a word
Yes.
over here. And I think now, you can't use this and put in Hebrew letters, right? But what I will put in is what I think it is, which is work. That's what I believe the word to be is work. Okay, so let me put this right here and just put in the word work. And it tells you something. Okay. These are all the places where the word work is in this book. Okay. So mother through. Okay. That's not it. That's not it. You can do it this way, which is, I think, is an interesting way, right? Or you could do it another way just by simply following or finding. Okay. So I know where I'm at right now. This is an eyeball. So in the Hebrew vocabulary, I know that it goes samak and then ayin, and then pay would be my next letter. So right now I'm in the ayin, I'm in the I. So I know the next category for me is going to be the pay. So let's see if it's true. Okay. So let me see. Pay. Come on. Get to it. All right. That's still an iron. Still an iron. Where's this at? The rush? Yeah, let's go right past it. All right, so let's see. That's a resh, that's a head. Yeah, that's a resh. You don't want that. It went pretty fast. Okay. Let's just go try to scroll and find it. I'm looking for a pay, that's a zadi. I don't want that. A lexicon will give you all the roots of the parents and a lot of the children, right? So that's why I'm able to know that these are families, is because I got a book that can tell me this, right? And that's how I get my studies, to understand how things work. Where's see the pay? Come on, you don't have all day. That's a Zadi Corporation Top Samak I pay. Okay, I'm in a pay right now. All right, so I'm looking for oh, come on, don't do that to me. Why is it not moving? Can you guys see my screen?
I see it.
Okay,
And-
I'm trying to move it. It won't allow me to move it. What's going on? Okay, here we see. All right, so I'm looking for a pay and a lamed. All right, so the pay and the lamed, getting closer. LMNP. Okay, here you go. So the name of our word is called Pa'al, right? So I'm going to look for a P because that's the first letter it is. So let me see. All right. All right, so here's the first one. Is a guess on this would be, that means judgment. Let's see. P, oh, here you go. I was correct. Okay, 2622. I just found it in my actual, I have an actual book too, so I can see it. So 2622. Okay. Oh. 2622 is my number. Perfect. There you go. Can you guys see my screen?
Yes.
All right, this is very, oh yeah, very powerful. Okay. So because I know I was correct, it is work. I've seen it a lot. All right. So in your lesson that we went over today, I asked you, I said, what do they have in common? You know, what letters? And all these three letters are right in there. Okay. So when they wrote that word Pa'al, what they're really talking about is the action of making something, but with a concrete of work. That's what it means. It means to make something. That's the action. So when we talk about a pa'al, right? And a pa'al is a simple, it's a simple form and it's represented by this actual letters right here. Okay, is English, the P, the A, and N. Okay. Let me ask you a question. Should I put this underneath it, or should I put this underneath it?
The first one.
Kamatz.
Yeah, this one's the simple. If this is simple, what's this one?
That's forceful.
Forceful. Okay.
Forceful.
Okay. Then I put a hey on the front of it. Then you know it's causative. You understand? This is not hard. You and I just don't know. We haven't been exposed. Now I'm exposing you to what I'm talking about. So that's where they get it from. So when we talk about the all, you understand, okay, that's the reason why they're using it as the stem, is because it has to do with a very simple action, and it has to do with making, is to make something. Okay. And that what? Concrete, to do the work. And it comes from the root of this that we went over today, an ayin and a lamed. See, which have to do with what? Here it says to do work. If we looked at that, remember, if I put the bet on there, there's bet all. You see how Yah is guiding our hands today? So now you're letting know to do what? You're my wife, or you're my servant, and I put upon you what? Work. So you need to see the authority. See, so there's more. Okay, so even if you look now, and Yah's given us a little bit more information. Bless the Holy One of Israel, the Kadosh One. He's telling us that this word Pa'al comes from the word to do work, to make something from work. And it comes from the stem, from its parent. Its parent stem is work, but it also means upon. Then you put that bet on it, and it means that I'm your master. I'm asking you to do the work for me. I'm asking you to see my authority to do work. I need you to do something for me. I need you to do the work. So what's part of the work that you and I need to do? The part of the work we need to do is this, as simple at this point, to simply understand the Paul, to do the work. And then once it works, this is the work. The work is all the other branches that you have to understand, and you have to, in the seasons that you have to go through, and you have to prune it, and you have to keep up with it. You understand? So working this tree, or working these stems, and working, and every one of these could be different. Okay. So you got a tree that's for a call. Then you got another, where he talks about the trees in the garden, right? So what you can see is that there's more than one tree. Every tree has its own stem. So the tree that you and I were looking at today was the, trying to write sideways for you. I am. Oh, praise God. The call stem. There's another tree that you have to work on, which is the shamar tree. Then you got to work on your other tree. So you're working in a what? Where are all these trees at? Where we first understand trees?
Grove.
Yeah, but where's the first place that Yah mentions a whole bunch of trees?
Garden.
That's right. You're going to work in the garden. You understand?
Ken.
Okay. So the work that you and I have to do is in his garden. His garden is to understand how he does things, how he makes things. And that's the reason why you and I are called to do work for him. And that's why it's used this word here. So even if I looked at all, right, which is the parent root, I give praise and I give honor to our King, because he will help us understand 1357. Okay. So this is the child. This ain't the parent. This is a child root. Okay. Let me go to the parent. The parent is an ayin and a lamed. So let's go look at the parent right quick, because it said it's from the parent. So let's go look at the parent. And I said 1357. Oh, 1357. 1357. Right. There you go. That's the parent. You see the parent? If I wanted to make a child, I just put that other letter right here in front. I'll put a PL right there. Okay. A pay. I'll put a pay right here. Right here. And it'd be Paul. Easy. Okay. So now we know who the parent is. That's the father and the mother. Okay. So what is their action? Their action is to work. Is it similar to the Paul? Yes, it is, because they share it. They share it because they're the child. So they're sharing this same action. Their job is to work. Okay. But they have something different. Okay. So their action, their action was to make. Right? That's the child. The child's action was to make, and their concrete was to work. So the child is supposed to do the work, the act. They got to make something to work it, right? The parent here is saying that, this is where the child comes from. The parent is action is to work. And what? Because they got a yoke. Okay. So the picture graph is a picture of an eye, okay, representing knowledge and experience. Okay. That's what your eye gives you, the stuff that you see. The lamed is a picture of a shepherd's staff or a yoke, like we learned today in class. Combine these means experience the staff. The yoke, a staff, is lifted over the shoulder. It is attached to the oxen for performing work. Okay. That's what it's used for, right? So then off of that parent, right, you're going to have children. And the children that are attached to this word, the idea of them is to what? Here it is. Here's another meaning and definition, means to raise. Raise what? Raise that yoke. Raise that yoke lift the yoke, meaning to raise the yoke over the shoulder. So this is where they get this idea of all, meaning upon, because they're putting it upon something. And then here's all the ways it is translated in English. But the basic meaning of it means above, and it means upon, because you lift it above the shoulders and you lay it upon them. Okay. What are some other meanings from this parent? Well, you look across right here, because it goes from up and it goes right here. Allah, where you get your word olah, meaning to rise. This is for a burnt offering. It's a rising, same lifting up, a rising of what? Smoke from the burnt offering. That's where you get your word olah from. Okay, like an olah offering. Here you go. You got a gamil on front of this, meaning captivity. Why? A yoke was placed on the captives to be taken back. That's where your word captivity of a galoth comes from. And here's ma'al. See? And they got all different types of words, to assent, and all these different words that are used off of this parent. Okay? Just trying to show you the range. A pestle, that's lifted up and down. A trench, a water course where the water rises in elevation. A rising, a youth, an alma is a young male. And alma is a young female. So you got that, okay? And they're ready to do what? A young man and a young woman, an alma is ready. And alma was something that Rivka was called. She was called an alma, okay? He asked her, what should I do with this alma? Okay, a young female who is at the prime age for work. And that's why she's a virgin, translated maid or damsel. She was at the age that she was ready to do work, and that was demonstrated by her getting over 200 gallons of water. And she did a lot of work, okay? That was put upon her, okay? That's is that a 209? Yeah, 209. Let's see. 210, here you go. It continues. This is a big family, okay? Then you have the daughter here, mother-like daughter, which is alal, meaning to work, a yoke, okay? Then you go down, come across, who do you got? Olah, to lift, okay? Then you got to rise, to come and bring. See, it's all the leaf, which is called a ele, okay? When they put the different vowels on it, gives you a different sound. So it's not hola, it's ele. And ele is a what? A leaf that falls from a tree, okay? And then you, of course, have our name that I told you that you and I were. I think we're coming to it about being an elyon. Then it says awon, to lift, a yoke, okay? All, okay, to lift. See, it's all about lifting and carrying. And a coat, yeah, okay. And that's pretty much it. All right. So hopefully you guys were able to gather some information. Hopefully I was able to explain how this structure works, because I don't want to send you stuff and we're just going down this road, like I'm just learning these letters and I'm just learning this sound and I'm just learning that. I want you to understand the foundation. That's why the verb class is so important, because I'm going to teach you the foundation of everything so you can really understand what's going on. Did you guys learn anything today?
And
Yes.
Yeah. And that's different. This stuff that I'm saying is that what I did, you guys, and what I've done is I've been able to look at the ancient Hebrew and I've been able to put it with the modern, like the way that they put it out and how they teach it. They're still teaching out of the Torah. But if you don't understand the concepts of how this works agriculturally, then you will really not understand this language. It'll all be foreign to you. But once you accept it, it's my language. I am an agricultural people. I do like to plant. I do understand seeds and watering. Then I know it's going to take time. I know it's a process. But once I get that down, like you can work on the call, right? Say your tree's the call tree and you just work on that tree. If you understand all of its branches, you'll be fine. Well, what is this branch over here? Oh, okay, this one looks a little different. How is this operating? And that's all it is. You see? So that's what this language is about. It's about agriculture. It's about family. It's about understanding how to, how the roots work, how the children work. Then they come out and they stem. And then what do you do with that child? Okay, that's different. It operates in different ways. This tree has different branches. So guess what? It operates in different ways. And then I can recognize when I look at it like, oh, that stem is this. I can look at that. That comes off of the PO, which is the root, the 3 letters. Then once you'll take one 3-letter root and we're only going over 7 of the different ways it could be used. There's 56 different ways. You see? And I'm not saying that to intimidate you. I'm trying to tell you, like, you could take a root and there's 56 different ways. And what I mean by that is you could take a pa'al and you could do it in a simple way, but then you can also do that simple action at a different time. You know what I mean? And you could do it with what they call an infinitive absolute with some emphasis. You could put emphasis on that, and you could do a PL, a forceful action. You could do it or someone else could do it. You know what I'm saying? Or you could do it to yourself. But once you got that one root and you understand, and so what you're doing now is once you learn how to work one tree, right? That's why they're only using like a call, lavash, and all these. Once you learn how the root works, the next tree that you get in your vocabulary word that you plant, you'll understand how that works and you'll be able to recognize it. Easy. It won't be nothing to you. You understand? And then you graduate and you say, okay, I got my trees now. I know how they work. And then it's okay. Now we got to go to the next layer. Now we got to understand how to prune. We got to understand how to do this. And then we're going to take the fruit of that and then we're going to share with others, just like I'm doing today. Hallelujah.
Hallelujah.